Hanyuu has already grown used to being around us. Since Rika-chan and Sadoko are her age, she's become especially close with them. Of course, Rena and Mion are looking after her too. Rena told me something the day Hanyuu joined the class. She said that Hanyuu has been close to us for a long time, and that she's been watching us play, and that she always wanted to join us. So, what happened at the end of that game they played anyway? Who won? Who lost? Well, I suppose who lost is the most important thing there, isn't it? I still can't remember seeing her before, but somehow I can believe it. Hanyuu has accepted all the things that surprised me at first, as if she knew about all along. She knows everything about us, and it seems she's truly excited about finally being able to join in. Hanyuu's definitely part of our group now. She sure is. It almost feels like she's been one of us this whole time. That can't be true, though. No, it is. She's been by our side all this time. And one time, Keiichi, she drove you a bit crazy because you were already going crazy. Back in Onikakushi, remember how that happened? You could hear the footsteps, and you didn't understand it. And, yeah, one thing led to another, and, one of, the many bad ends that all of these arcs tend to get. Ah, you're saying that now, too? Rena told me that a couple days ago. Is it just that I didn't notice? It's because you're dense, Keiichi. Meep. Fine, so what if I'm dense? Ow, 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 why are you two sitting down? Are you tired? You never feel tired, Hanyuu. Meanwhile, we're exhausted. It's because I've waited so long to be able to play with you all. This isn't nearly enough. I have to play more and more. Ow, 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 ow. You know what? It's like I got a guitar effects pedal. Is that Miku one? I remember trying to actually use it a while back, and it didn't seem to work. I'm not sure if it's broken or if the jack for it isn't working properly or what, but I'm just now picturing an effects pedal where you strum any note on a guitar and it's like ow wow 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 wow. It's like a wah pedal, but it's ow instead of wow. You're full of energy. By the way, those things on your head, don't they fall when you play? Ow! Hanyuu has horns on her head. I thought that it was a hair accessory of sorts, so I didn't want her to lose it while playing. I was going to offer to hold it for her while she ran around. But Hanyuu's face clouded over and she apologetically held on to the horns. Keiichi, Hanyuu can't take them off. Eh? Ah, I see. Sorry about that. Oh, is it strange to have horns? No, not at all. I think it's cute. Well, realistically, it would be. It's isn't there people that actually do have horns? Isn't there some kind of tumor or something? I'm not sure. Yeah, Keiichi even has a horn between his legs, don't you? Though it's hard and curves backward. Blech. Oh, what kind of horn is between his legs? What kind? Renaissance punch is still the one thing I can't follow. You quite alright, Mion-san? There's a depression in your face. Everyone laughed except Hanyuu, who didn't seem to get it. I shouldn't have said anything. I bet she doesn't like to talk about her horns. But if I try to apologize, I think things will get even more complicated. As I thought about what to say, Rena took the girls over to the shrine gate. Don't worry about it, Keiichi. Hanyuu tries not to let it bother her, but she hasn't had enough training. Meep. So she doesn't like to talk about him, huh? Sorry, I'll be more careful. Hanyuu came to Hinamizawa a very long time ago. She did? No wonder she knows so much about the village. I don't know where she lived before she came here. I asked her once, but all she said was it was a place I wouldn't understand. Hanyuu said that she, or rather Hanyuu's people, couldn't live there anymore. They looked for a new place to live for a long time. They traveled a very long way before arriving in Hinamizawa. There was a beautiful swamp in the area, and that was exactly what Hanyuu's people were looking for. Ah, man, look at all these bloody places are. It's like, holy shit. Ooh, swamp! It's like we're gonna live like Shrek. This is our swamp now. There was a village nearby where people lived. I mean, Hanyuu is supposed to be some kind of god or something, right? And it's like, she's like, this is referencing like, what Hanyuu's people were looking for. What does that mean? Were they always like Hanyuu? We shall see. Show respect to the original inhabitants of an area was law among wandering people like Hanyuu's. Her clan decided to live peacefully and coexist with the villagers. However, their attempts to coexist didn't go so well. Villagers were too childish and immature to accept these newcomers. They strongly rejected them and caused a terrible, tragic disaster. Hanyuu backstory time. Hanyuu said she took their form and descended upon this land in order to subdue this disaster. Okay, now I'm even more confused. So she took their form and descended upon it. So, did Hanyuu look very different before taking on a human form then? However, she couldn't hide her horns. The forbidden ancient documents say that Hanyuu descended into the Friday Shrine, appearing as she does today. Also states the following: Hanyuu's people can't live anywhere other than this village. They can also only live by coexisting with the villagers. The Friday Shrine's priests once rejected them, claiming that coexistence was impossible if mixing with the wandering people's blood caused villagers to become demons. But the young heir of the Friday Shrine fell in love with Hanyuu, and when their child was born, the priest had to reconsider. Wait, what? Well, the young heir fell in love with Hanyuu. Wait, what? Fell in love with Hanyuu, and when the child was born, the priest had to reconsider. What? I'm confused. Does that imply that the heir of the Friday Shrine had a child with Hanyuu, or was simply in love with Hanyuu but also had a child that was born? Oh, wandering people who cannot hide your horns, if you wish to settle in this land, if you want to settle with our blood, then I shall consider granting your wish. However, as the demon's blood mixed with the villagers, it became hard to tell who was human and who was demon. So this is how the blood gets mixed then, with the Hinamizawa and everything. The villagers began to cast suspicion on one another, haunted by that paranoia. Unless all of that was resolved, coexistence would be impossible. For you and us to coexist, we must lay down several laws for us to follow. They will be very strict. I am very, very sorry for imposing these upon you, who have lived in peace until now. However, as long as those rules are followed, the village will be free from demonic disaster. Is this Hanyuu saying all this? I mean, if it is, it's very odd, because there's no ow, ow, ow. I guess maybe this was prior to, that kind of personality development. I don't know, this is all confusing. Very well, the rules will be followed, but much blood has already been shed in the village. The anger, sins, and corruption people bear cannot be cleansed. The one law of the human world is that sins are atoned for with life. I see. If you say it's your way to let someone take on all responsibility and bury the sins with him, then we'll do that. However, wouldn't people end up pushing responsibility on each other? Because nobody wants to die. switching between like worlds here or what? It's like, regular post-rise effect, red for the demons, I guess. Exactly, that's the ugly demon in the world of man. No one will accept their own sins, but only foist them onto each other. Since they can only clear the balance with their lives, everyone refuses to pay. The sins just keep adding up. Without cleansing them, they stagnate, and people cast them upon each other forever, doubting each other and passing them around. I see, if that is the unopposable law of this world, then you yourselves are troubled by this law. In exchange for coexistence with us, I shall grant you a world where people do not blame their sins on each other. What kind of world is it? So long as mankind exists, they will commit sins and give rise to corruption. How could that all be erased without foisting it onto someone else? Let me bear all the sins and corruption born from man, and purify my soul, that all sins rest not with man. If they are born upon myself, then man will not need to force them on each other. If this is Hanyuu, is she like basically like Jesus? She's like just like taking on all the sins of man? What are you saying? Are you really going to make yourself into a sacrifice? Someone has to take on the sins, otherwise they won't be cleansed. That's the law of your world, isn't it? Maybe I should just, voice act those lines to Hanyuu's voice, but I don't feel like it would fit at the same time. I'm starting to wonder if maybe... I still don't understand it, really. It's like, part of me is thinking, like, what? So is Hanyuu and her people demons, aliens, what? Are they just foreign people that came and they were like, we're we don't get you kind around here, get the fuck out of our village. But then they struck a deal. He's like, okay, if I die for your sins, then everything will be okay. I don't know, was Hanyuu human? A deity all along? A demon? An alien? This is all a bit of a jumbled mess. A different ancient document also states the following. Of course, it's a forbidden one too. Only the head of the free family is allowed to read it, nobody else, not even the other heads of the free families. I mean, how far... come to think about it, it's even more confusing, because Hanyuu's existence clearly, with the village, goes back hundreds of years. But the free family is always a thing. It feels like that was more of a recent thing, so this is even more confusing. I mean, I can imagine maybe the Fruity family always being there, but all three of them being in power the whole time, consistently for hundreds of years. Even back when they were a lot more violent with their sacrifices and stuff. Tells that unrest grew in people's minds after the villagers' evil hearts collected in the swamp and gave rise to demons. The Fruity Shrine's priests explained that the root of all evil is the demon god of the swamp and led the young villagers there. By the swamp they found a demon mocking the unrest in people's hearts. The young villagers fought bravely, captured the demon and dragged it to the Fruity Shrine. The priests cleansed the demon god, opened their abdomen and dragged out her organs. He chopped them up and washed them down the stream. Then threw the body in the swamp. Then people regained their sanity. Regained their sanity! Those who had been suspicious of each other became friendly, and they all shared in the joy of peace again. What? It's like, oh man, everyone's gone insane, man. Let's take this demon god, rip out her abdomen and organs, pull them all out, and then we'll be sane again. That makes no sense. So I guess that was Hanyuu then, this demon god. So they did that to her. God knows when. Hundreds of years ago, I guess, in terms of the plot. These forbidden ancient documents are real. Then the object of the villagers' worship, Oyashiro-sama, was captured by the villagers, forced to bear all their sins, and torn to death. Plus, it's clearly written that the demons appeared after unrest grew in people's hearts. other words, the demons were forced to bear the sin of discord that rested with man long before they arrived. I'm trying to comprehend what all this actually is implicating it. Like, so, was it born out of, like, the darkness within the heart of man? The demons were born from it. And then they had to die to, relieve the sins and stuff. Well, you're sure someone was the god who took on people's sins to mend conflicts between them. Or was she always there? But it's there like Hanyuu's people? So were there more demon gods, more demons? And Hanyuu just happened to be the one who was like, I'll take one for the team here, guys. Is that what happened? Or was she the leader? I don't understand. I'm sure someone's a god who took on people's sins to mend conflicts between them. People eventually came to honor her, and it said that became the foundation of faith in Hinamizawa. I don't understand exactly what that means. Join the club. But I know one thing. When none of us humans would draw the losing straw, she offered to draw it in our stead. To prove it, we cleansed our filth by letting cotton absorb it and drifted down the stream during the Matsuribayashi festival. You know what? Now I'm starting to think, with that in mind, Hanyuu was the first, sacrifice in a sense. Well, they actually, it kind of is implied that they did, sacrifices and then, eventually, changed to just being cotton instead of, entrails and stuff. But at the same time, maybe it was just the one time and Hanyuu was the only victim. And with that in mind, it's look back at previous arc. That one time Hanyuu got angry at Takano because he was describing all the twistedness of the past rituals that would go on. I mean, it's even more so now that you think about it, that Hanyuu was the very first one of those, to be sacrificed. That's how she, I guess, died? I mean, can she even die? Did she die in a physical sense, but there's still kind of there as a ghost deity or something? I mean, really, it's when we saw the first arc, Keiichi, who would have thought this would be what actually was going on this whole time, to be revealed like this? It's I didn't think it'd be like that. Absorbed and drifted down the stream during the Matsuribayashi festival. There's no shame or shifting of responsibility involved. Until that system was created, we were simply demons who punished our filth and our responsibility on each other. You know what? It makes even more sense with Rena, when she started to kind of calm down, when she had someone else to put the blame on instead of herself or her family for all the shit that happened there. So it kind of makes sense for Hanyuu being the one that takes the burden of all this, which is really pretty shit when you think about it. We were simply demons who pushed our filth and our responsibility on each other. We could only cleanse our own sins by blaming someone else and sacrificing him by cutting open his abdomen. And he took on that job. So, were they doing that before then? Hanyuu was the one, when they did that to Hanyuu, okay, everyone, we can chill the fuck out from now on. Purification ceremony without a human life. A system that forgives people for their sins. That is the origin of the cult of Hinamizawa, which blames not people for their sins, but the curse. Those documents were sealed away. If they weren't, people would find out that the object of their own faith was falsely blamed and killed by their own ancestors. Hanyuu apologizes. She takes in people's sins and keeps apologizing. Yeah, that has been a pattern, to be fair. I mean, it was there from the very first arc. Keiichi when Keiichi's, a bit of a spoiler, sort of, but it kind of puts it in perspective. I mean, it happens right at the start, but you don't really get the context for it until like later on, like now, for example. But he's on the train or whatever, going back to Hinamizawa after like attending to like a family funeral outside of, Hinamizawa. As he's coming back, he hears someone constantly saying, I'm sorry. That's clearly Hanyuu, because she knew what was going to ultimately happen in that arc. When people can't deal with their own sins anymore, she accepts them. When Hanyuu takes over, people are cleansed and they are allowed to keep living. Demons take on sins by becoming cotton to absorb them. They are exterminated and washed down the stream, and then the village is forgiven. They are forgiven for their sins. If that's all true, then Hanyuu, or rather, why Shir-sama, is such a tragic existence. I've asked Hanyuu about this before, then she told me the following story. 4 people are stuck in a snowy mountain cabin. They play a game while each sitting in one of the 4 corners. It's a fairly well-known story. It's in the middle of winter. They're all getting sleepy. If they fall asleep, they'll die. So one of them comes up with an idea. They're sitting in the 4 corners of the room, so someone just has to walk clockwise to the next corner and wake up the person sitting in that corner. The one who just walked will sit in that corner, and the one who just woke up will get up, walk to the next corner and wake up the person sitting there. If they keep doing that, nobody will fall asleep. People who know the story won't need an explanation, but this doesn't work with 4 people. When the first person gets up, their corner becomes empty. So after everyone takes turn, the 4th person goes to the next corner, which is an empty one. They sit down and fall asleep, so the game is over right there and everyone freezes to death. Couldn't just go to the next corner that's inhabited. It's like, this corner, so lovely, I think I'm gonna take a nap. It's like, don't take a nap, you're gonna die. In other words, to play this game you need more than 4 people. You need 1 more person in order to be saved. People usually tell this as a ghost story. They usually say that this was actually a group of 5 people, but 1 was already dead, and thanks to that ghost, they're able to continue living until the next morning. Hanyuu once told me that she's like that 5th person. If she can make everything run smoothly by joining a circle of people, then it's very similar how the telephone game in the mountain cabin manages to function without breaking. Hanyuu can complete a circle that can't be realized by people alone. Then those people can live peacefully. She's an existence that completes the circle. Is she bothered by her horns because it reminds her of the time when she was called a demon and punished for the sin she took in? Is her subconscious still tormenting her with thoughts that those who have horns ought to be persecuted? It's all kind of jumbled, if you ask me. It's like, the way they kind of describe it, it's like, Hanyuu is clearly some kind of powerful being. Because you can see her as she's essentially a ghost, but then she just appears physically in their world now. So she's some kind of deity of sorts, more than just simply a ghost or something. But she's able to rewind time and all that multiple times, but her power is weakening the more that it happens as well. So it's just was Hanyuu a demon, an alien, or simply a person that just happened to, have horns for whatever reason? Maybe they weren't I don't know. I'm kind of confused. Maybe, because I can't tell what kind of route the story's trying to, give off here. It's like, okay, we're going down this route, where, yes, she was indeed a demon god. Or she had a deformity of some sort, and her, allowing herself to be sacrificed was ultimately what started the whole worship of Shir-sama and all that, and caused the villagers to gradually chill the fuck out. But then you still got the Hinamizawa syndrome. So is that what passed over? Because in the reading with demons, because Hanyuu's doesn't reference that Hanyuu's people. It's all a mess. My God. She was born with those horns. She was hated and abused because of them. Really? I definitely shouldn't have said anything, huh? Just like after hearing your confusing backstory there, Hanyuu, I don't know what to say. And just because she had those horns, she had to take in everyone's sins and cleanse them. I mean, it says, like, she had those horns. It's not referring to anyone else having the horns. So maybe I'm right. Maybe it was just like some kind of, deformity of sorts. That kind of resembles horns. I don't know. It's all really confusing. She did that and she was worshipped as a god. Ah, a god? I was talking to myself. Forget about it. Ah? Nobody knows who Hanyuu really is. Probably not even Hanyuu herself. Is she really a divine existence that descended from a higher place? Was she simply an unlucky girl who became a sacrifice just because she had a pair of horns? Exactly, that's what the confusion is. At least it's actually acknowledging it. It's probably going to go the route of where it's like, you know what? It's up to you, the reader. Which scenario do you prefer for the actual backstory? Was she really a divine existence, descended from a higher place? Or was she just simply an unlucky girl who, happened to have a pair of horns? It's just like... But regardless of which one, you still got all this weird shit where Hanyuu is, like, clearly got some supernatural powers. So it feels like it'd be more the former, but, some of it kind of makes it seem like it could also be the latter. Maybe it's both. Or maybe the latter led to the former. Maybe her dying led to her becoming some divine existence, like a deity. Like, because they treated her as such, she became a deity. I don't get it. Nobody knows. But this girl's blood is blended with a friend's family blood, and that blood has descended into me. You know what? Now I'm thinking, was it the Fruity priest, or whatever they said, their hair or something like that? Fruity family. So I imagine, like, one of the male heirs to the family, had a baby with Hanyuu at some point, hundreds of years ago, and that line of descendants went on and on, every so on generations, like, Hanyuu would be able to communicate with that heir of the family, if it's like a girl born how many ever times, which is Rika's position right now. She'd be able to communicate with Rika. Now she's able to interact with everyone because now she's like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm finally gonna, step in. Let's actually, get this shit started. It's like, make this miracle happen. It's all a bit confusing. Our legends state that if the Fruity family has a girl for the firstborn child for 8 generations in a row, that 8th child will be a reincarnation of Oishi herself. Don't know exactly what that means, but I'm that 8th generation, so why I was the only person who could see Hanyuu. So Hanyuu's like, hey, you're sort of me reincarnated, but at the same time, she kind of like now appears in the world as well, so... How confusing, man. I can't get over how confusing this backstory is. 8 generations is a very long time. Maybe that's how long it took for all the sins Hanyuu assumed to be cleared. 8 represents infinity. It's a very lucky number. Often curses uttered will contain, I curse you for 7 generations, but the 8th lies beyond that. In other words, 8 possesses such good fortune that it can forgive great curses and sins that span 7 generations. It's kind of odd, because isn't 7 also seen as a lucky number? It's a number with power. It's the time Hanyuu needed to cleanse all the sins she took in from the humans. Hanyuu and her people simply wanted to coexist with us. It's like, there it goes again, and her people, so they were more like her. I mean, if it, describes them having horns as well, they'd be like, okay, they were some kind of, I don't even know. Would you even? I mean, where did they come from? Were they just people with deformities? Were they actually like demons that had been like, "Hey, this swamp looks nice. Let's go live there." This backstory. But Hanyuu had to become a sacrifice. Her stomach was cut open and its contents washed down the stream, and she was thrown into the swamp. And that's another thing you gotta wonder as well, because she's taken on the form she has now, but back then she probably looked very different. And so, the Frida family has been waiting. They waited for a very long time for her to come back. They kept our traditions alive, waiting forever and even for her return. Wait, no, waiting forever and ever for her return, not even. According to a legend, the name Frida was made by adding a horn to the character for fortune telling. Really now? Actually, if that's the case, that kind of like gives, more meaning to it, doesn't it? So is this the character? You know what? I've got a word of the day, so maybe I doubt horn's going to be in here. That'd be kind of an odd word to have in the dictionary. Wait, it does. It does have horn, but it's not. It's not the type of horn we're looking for, though. It's like for a car or a bus sound horn. It's in katakana rather than hiragana and kanji characters. I'll try looking in the Japanese section. Wait, what? I actually found one matches up with that. Furu, rather than rare, but means old. Actually, what is that? It's got someone else by it. Let me see. What does that stand for? Prefix. Old. Maybe, no. Gotta keep this, that doesn't really mean a horn, though, does it? See, it's the same character, old-fashioned, furui. And the other ones don't really seem to use that kanji character. But I'm generally getting the meaning for this kanji character with fu, at the very least, to mean old. Wait. That's it right there, the Furude. Oh! I mean, I can't really tell, but looking at it, that's probably what they mean, like, giving it horns or something. That one only has the one, while the one in Furude has, like, a line going straight across, like there's two on either side. Maybe that's what it's, like, meaning. It's like, oh, you got two horns as opposed to just the one. Even though it apparently means old rather than horn. I mean, it's in adding a horn to the character, so that's, probably what it means. What it's alluding to there. The Frida family rose when Hanyuu's bloodline was combined with that of human beings. Okay, so the Frida family only really, became as big a deal as they did after that then. They're probably a small time before that. Hanyuu is the ancestor of the Frida family, as well as the mother of us all. Well, I guess they didn't actually, well, I don't know. I mean, they were obviously must have been there the whole time. For them to, have someone to actually, how did that play out? When you think about it, Hanyuu would have to give birth to a child to, like, start the, that family line, that family tree. When I was little, Hanyuu taught me a lot more things than my mother did. It's no wonder. I'm her descendant. Oh, for whatever reason, I thought I misread that. And I was like, oh wait, Hanyuu has a mother as well? The curse on the clan who excised and buried their very own mother was finally absolved after 8 generations. What seemed like eternity. Then she met me, her descendant of the final generation of the Frida family. Now, kind of think of it, I wonder if it says every 8 generations. What if that's the only number of generations of the Frida family so far? There's just been daughters the whole time. Maybe that's the case. So, if that's actually the case, then that event with Hanyuu goes back 8 generations. But it feels like it goes further back than that, though, honestly. Sometimes when I think about that, I feel like there must be some important meaning to this hapless fate thrust upon me. But what kind of meaning could the trial I face, the trial of breaking through the obstacles sealing my fate, have upon the curse that plagued Hanyuu and the Frida family for over a millennium? 1,000 years is simply too long a period to communicate thoughts and intentions correctly. Hanyuu has become the curse we call her Shirsama. Though she originally was a means of salvation, she has become a chain that binds people. The rules about coexisting were misinterpreted as a law that binds villagers to this place. That continued until the Meiji era. And while the village winds once again towards their misunderstanding of isolation thanks to the damn conflict, you know what? That moment. Okay, so that was the 19th century to the early 20th century. It was just like, when was the Meiji era? Like, what time period was that? Because I don't really know much about the different time periods of the Japanese history like that. It winds once again blow towards me, something blah blah blah. How does that play into my meeting with Hanyuu and this motley fate we're trapped in? I haven't lived long enough to be able to understand that. The only thing I can say for sure is that the Frida family originated when Hanyuu's bloodline mixed with that of humans. That the line's final ascendant, me, finally met with its ancestor. Wait, could that be what it is? Now it's clicking in my mind a bit. Now it's like a light bulb. It's like, if Hanyuu was the one responsible for, keeping everyone safe, then it would make sense that their descendants would have the same role, and why, Rika is seen as important and all that. Kind of, I don't know. Because at the same time, you gotta wonder, it's like, was Tarkner's adoptive grandfather right in that if Rika dies, they all die? Because we've seen how it actually goes, and it's like, they don't kind of assume that that's the case. It seems like if Rika dies, everyone else doesn't just suddenly go insane or anything. But at the same time, you gotta kind of wonder, it's like, what if? It's like, probably if you haven't seen any of them, actually just I have no idea what you're talking about. Hell, even if you have, you're probably still you're just talking gibberish, man. Just get on it. The Frida bloodline bears a cursed history of placing all of man's sins onto its mother and killing her. Now the beginning and end of that line have met. And you always wanted to join everyone. Yet she couldn't hide her horns. Even so, she still wished to be in existence and complete her circle. child's job to bury their parents. But Mother, I've never heard that it's a child's job to kill and bury their parents. Don't ask, child. I'm not human. My horns are proof that I'm a demon. Demon's job is to take on the calamities of the human world. Burying the calamities of this chaotic world and cleansing the unrest in mankind's heart is my role. So this has got to be handy, man. Then, Mother, why do you have to be the one? People's sins are people's sins. They aren't yours. Listen, child. People live with their sins. I haven't got to the point where I, have a catchphrase yet. They can't live without making someone else take the blame. Nobody wants to take the blame, so they shift that responsibility around. That is a demon, a true demon disrupting the world of man. By bearing it myself, man may be cleansed, and mankind can be freed from their destiny of doubt and conflict. Let all the sins, the filth, the karma, and the curse come to me. Then attack me, purify me, wash me down the stream, and throw me in the swamp. A human will not do. So it is fate of one not human to accept that role. If a human were made to bear it, then mankind would not be freed from the demon of doubt. I don't understand, Mother, you have horns. Are you saying that you aren't human just because you have horns? That even if you are human, the horns make you non-human? Even if you have horns, you are human to me. My child, you're the only one who's ever said that. Even if everyone else calls me bleh or bleh, you still call me human. What is passed down in the Faraday many forbidden scrolls, the ones unknown to even the head of the free families, sealed in the altar and shrine storage. Understanding that would probably require about as much time as I've spent repeating time. Yet once you understand that, perhaps you'll better understand the smile Hanyuu wears as she innocently plays with everyone. A bit surreal backstory-wise, isn't it? Ah, are you okay? I heard Mion yell with surprise. Something must have happened. What is it? What's going on?
Hanyuu tripped and tumbled down the hill over there. It's like, isn't this how this arc started, but it was Rika rather than Hanyuu tripping over? Hanyuu-chan, are you okay?
Well, actually, no, it wasn't, was it? I think that might have been how the previous arc started. I can't remember. She rolled beautifully, but I hope she didn't sprain her ankle or anything. Let's go look. Hanyuu had been playing on the slope and tumbled down it. There's a road just below the slope. Mion and the others went down the stairs to get to her. Let's go. I hope she isn't injured. When I got there, I saw Tomitaka-san and Takano-san. They were taking care of her. What happened? We just saw her roll down the hill. She did tumble beautifully, though. But I think she hit her head, so I'm sure she'll get a bump later. Make sure you put some ice on it, okay? Hanyuu!
Can you hear us? Look, how many fingers do you see?
Ow. She sounded disorientated but didn't appear to be injured. What a relief for everyone. I bet she's just feeling dizzy from rolling.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you're not hurt.
Just think, though, how lucky of you to have a nurse waiting for you down here. What perfect timing. It's just like, oh, how fitting it had to be Takano, of all people. Well, when I'm not working, I'm a wild bird photographer. Right, Jiro-san? Oh, well, yeah, I guess. The Hinamizawa kid would never get hurt from something like that. In other words, you're already one of us, Hanyuu. Hanyuu-chan, is that your name? I've never seen you before. Are you new around here?
Yes, she is. She transferred in just last Monday.
What are these? How peculiar. Are they some kind of toy? Takano-san tried to poke at one of Hanyuu's horns. They'd be an interesting hair accessory if they were an accessory.
Haha, that's what's cute about Hanyuu-chan. Please don't touch them, though.
Oh, is that so? I don't think they're that cute, though. After all, they look just like a monster. What was that? Don't they? Why do they have to be like in big-ass font there? "Ew, Takano, you witch!" Suddenly Hanyuu moaned as if suffocating. "How could you say such a thing?"
Takano, Hanyuu isn't a monster. Don't ever say that again.
That's right, Takano-san, that was mean. Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. Rika-chan said it rather firmly. I'm sure Hanyuu doesn't want to hear that word. Sometimes Takano-san says things in a derogatory way without realizing it herself. But I guess there are things you can't or shouldn't say. Hanyuu was looking at Takano-san with a complicated look on her face. After seeing that expression, Takano-san realized she might have hurt her feelings. She apologized and left with Tonraka-san. Are you okay, Hanyuu? You landed beautifully too, so you're not injured. Who's talking that line? I don't know.
Rika, that person. How?
Her? It's Takano.
Takano. Wait, could it be that Rika's somehow forgotten that Takano is the one responsible for all of this? I guess while we were putting all the fragments together, Rika could remember all that. But as soon as, she goes to the next world, blank state on that, forgets it once again. But, Hanyuu's here to remind her this time, as opposed to, just keeping it to herself, because she doesn't want, to have Rika, learn about it, Why would she do that, actually? Just, make her distrust her more? Or, because she knew all along that it was Takano, but she didn't tell her because she didn't want to, I forget her reasoning for it, but she had a reason of sorts. And you repeated Takano-san's name. All of a sudden I grew worried that she hit her head or something. And he stood straight up and grabbed Rika-chan's collar. Rika, ow, it's Takano.
That's right, she's Takano.
No, Rika. Takano. Don't you remember?
Well, that's gotta be frustrating. I know, mere Takano, right? From the area clinic.
You can't remember?
Sorry, Hanyuu, what are you talking about?
Rika. This can't be.
All his miracles, and Rika freaking forgets the most important thing. So the last one. She finally imprinted herself with a true enemy's name while enduring the pain of her stomach being cut open. And yet she can't remember. Rika Furude has failed to inherit the memory of the fragments. Bad end, game over, man. Imagine if that actually happened. It's like, you didn't go through them properly. You have to do them in a correct order because you clicked on some of them in the wrong order. It cancels out the progress. But that's not the case. Although she definitely seems to have forgotten. Oh, Saga-san, long time no see. It's time to wrap this recording up, I'd say. So let's save and call it a day. But first of all, let's get a word of the day, even though it kind of already technically did, but it didn't really count. I see it now. Gonna have fortune as the word of the day, simply because that's the whole thing that referenced that, where it's adding horn to it. So fortune, where's fortune again? Keiichi, which doesn't use the conjugator, but then it's the one to tell fortunes, Uranau, which uses that conjugator that doesn't have the second line. So that's the word of the day there. So I'll see you next time, viewers. See you next time.